good and evil. And then there comes a point
여기
in Western
인류의 상상력이 빚어낸 공포가 과학이라는 그릇을 만나 현실로 소환된 이야기가 있습니다.
Engineering, robotics, and before our monsters.
We create these monsters as composites that warn us about the possible world. And one proof of that, I read somewhere that dragons are universal. Snake, feline, and large rapacious birds.
So,
of things that you need to be afraid of.
so fear of teeth and claws and being chased and all those things is a healthy thing. And it cycles in our brains and our nightmares.
그리고 이제 왜 이 장면까지 오게 됐는지 처음부터 따라가 보겠습니다.
It makes it more scary.
Jurassic Park, I think a lot of people in the audience did, at the first shot where they pull back and give you a wide-angle view of this giant dinosaur.
You know what? You know what? It was the very, very best thing that could have happened because I would have made it like Aliens.
Well, some of those dinosaurs, as you know, were Dennis Muir. But I was brought in to make sure that sixth graders didn't send him nasty notes.
온혈동물만이 남길 수 있는 입김은 생명의 실제를 증명하죠.
And are chasing the children around. And Stephen wanted the raptors to come in and stick out a tongue. And I said, we know for sure that dinosaurs did not do that. And so we decided a raptor looks through the window and it snorts and it fogs up the window. And only a warm-blooded.
In Jurassic Park, our scientist, John Hammond, very much wants to recreate dinosaurs to prove that he can do something no one else has done. And that creates a chain of disasters that in turn creates of those humans.
I wanted to show them something that wasn't an illusion. Something that was real. Something that they could...
Life. And his intentions are pure.
Yeah,
he wants everybody to come see these dinosaurs. He wants children to get tears in their eyes when they marvel at these creatures that they only could see in storybooks. Time.
Life breaks free, it expands to new territories, and it crashes through barriers painfully, maybe even dangerously, but, well, there it is. You're implying that...
Both female, but of course they can't stick together. So what he does, it shouldn't be possible.
I mean, it's quite clearly the moral at the heart of Jurassic Park is that you can't control nature.
Temporary AI scientists, everybody only sees the rosy future,
That's right.
the upside.
Exactly.
As they said on the Westworld poster, what could possibly go wrong?
And that gets the audience excited because the audience is going...
No, but I did feel out of place. And when I saw the monster play with forces that were with him, and I felt immediately a kinship, and I thought the impact emotionally for me was that big, was life transforming.
Of Mary Shelley.
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein was very much the birth of science fiction. Shelley is one of the first authors to think
존 해먼드가 재현한 공룡들은 서커스의 볼거리와 같지만 생명은 통제할 수 없는 영역으로 스스로 길을 찾습니다.
Religious or mythological mysteries.
Mary Shelley was visiting science lectures, people like Galvani, to see how newly discovered electricity was involved in living processes.
From bits and pieces of other human beings. It's so potent, and it is echoed all over the movies. But that's when it's crystallized.
In the first film version, Thomas Edison's 1910 Frankenstein, so he didn't want electricity to have any negative connotations. In the 50s and 60s, Victor Frankenstein creates his creature through atomic energy. And so literally, he's created the first test tube baby.
In the famous 1931 film, Dr. Frankenstein, scared we should be that we could do it.
Frankenstein creates something that's ugly, he throws it out of his laboratory, and this transforms the creature into a monster who will eventually kill those people he loves most.
Of the natural order.
Did you ever consider...
증언과 정황이 서로 맞물리기 시작합니다. 다만 2단계에서는 결론보다 충돌하는 지점을 봐야 합니다.
The audience sees it. I seem to come out okay at first, but by and by,
What's this?
you realize that my DNA has been fused.
You don't see an instant transformation as you do in, say, the Hulk What you see in The Fly is a far more realistic portrayal in that situation, which is a slow and disgusting breakdown of these two distantly related species.
I'm becoming.
I'd have to get there at 3 in the morning or 2 in the morning because I had some prosthetics, you know, teeth. I got a kick out of it.
What these movies grapple with is that question of what happens when we do something we shouldn't. And what are the ramifications of that? And what is the fallout? And these movies are about that. The fallout is...
To me, when I see a science fiction monster movie, it's about taking our angst and our fantasies and our terrors and making an escape.
아직 모든 답이 나온 것은 아닙니다. 다만 이 순간부터 관계와 의심의 방향이 조금씩 바뀌기 시작합니다.
I saw it on opening night in 79 when it came out at a big theater, and man, people were screaming so hard they were throwing their popcorn.
Me too. I mean, there's that figure of speech, hide on the shoulder when it's over.
Lots of flashing lights. And I think that's very much the power of the first Alien movie as a scary movie, is it left a lot to the imagination.
It's like the classic monster movie. And on top of it, you know, it was the first...
Be the lone survivor. And I like the purity of that.
I'm for killing that damn thing right now.
Well, let's talk about killing it. We know it's using the air shafts. Will you listen to me?
Parts of women's live and how women aren't really included, because I was born to give Ripley the punch and power.
Yeah.
It was the right thing to do.
Yeah, and science fiction has always been a genre that pushed boundaries of gender, conformity, racism.
It's a stage where anything goes.
Yeah.
피해자였던 여성들은 이제 당당히 괴물과 맞서 싸우는 주체가 되었습니다.
It really was the first movie where you had a woman that wasn't the victim, and that was major.
For years, it was a man's job to slay the monster from the monsters. Or, even worse yet, they themselves were the monster.
She'll tear up the whole town till she finds Harry. Yeah, and then she'll tear up Harry.
Ash, Wendalis, and Kane are off the ship. New level with aliens setting up the relationship of Ripley and this, and then paralleling it with the Queen and her offspring.
The Queen Alien has sort of organic, flowing lines to her matriarch of an alien society.
So by the time I kill her children and try to escape with mine, grab onto me! It's not like bad versus...
In my mind, there was this primal power that she had. Come on! This child. And I think that becomes that archetype of that female hero.
Slay monsters. There wouldn't be as many franchises of the Alien movie if it didn't work.
제임스카메론은 리플리와 뉴트의 모성애를 여왕 에이리언의 모성애와 평행하게 배치하며 괴물과 인간의 대결을 두 어머니의 싸움으로 승화시켰으니
When Resident Evil came up, I was just really excited. I was a huge fan of the video game. Video games, you know, I think in dangerous situations, and the closest we could get to them without actually being in danger, you know, we love. The Resident Evil.
One of the things that makes Alice a strong character is she fights what people might believe is like unbeatable odds. Triumphs.
I think monsters tell us everything about ourselves.
Monsters, in a lot of ways, are representing our fears. Are we going to go too far? What do we still need to learn about this world? What are we not prepared for? Which is why I think it's so powerful and cathartic to see a woman.
We often think about science fiction as a genre that celebrates boys and their toys, and yet there is a space for people of all different races and genders and creeds and colors.
이 영화들이 우리에게 던지는 질문은
to
명확합니다.
explore their hopes and fears and convey them to others about life in a high-tech society.
Science fiction at its best questions, challenges, or belief on what are we, what makes us human, where do we fit in society.
Or shake us up.
Yeah, so monsters are above nature, superhuman or suprahuman.
Yeah.
They allow us to question things that are eminently human.
Right. Now, don't you think that the film the thing.
Carpenter film.
Yeah.
Because ultimately it's about our place in the universe, and that's what makes that story so important.
Somebody in this camp ain't what he appears to be. Right now, that may be one. We know who's human.
The Thing is an incredibly influential movie in scientific fears that we might not be able to tell the difference between good and evil, or between ourselves and an evil alien imposter. The film follows the story of a group of scientists in the Antarctic who find a frozen alien.
What is it?
And conquer the world. As it absorbs people, it becomes unclear who's real and who has
실제로 위험에 처하지 않으면서 위험을 느끼는 모순. 이것이 인간이 괴물 이야기에 매료되는 근본적인 이유입니다.
By doing experiments. That is classic science fiction.
The blood from one of you things won't obey when it's attacked. Crawl away from a hot needle, say.
The blood testing scene in The Thing is one of the great scenes I think in all movies. And watching Kurt Russell testing the blood.
The thing in The Thing, in some ways, it's one of, I think, the apexes of that kind of old school analog monster. Like, was actually there on the set. But the ultimate threat here in The Thing isn't even the monster.
The Thing was based on a story, Who Goes There, by the most influential magazine editor really in the history of science fiction, a writer named John W. Campbell Jr.
Did you have any plan in mind as to what you wanted?
A group of writers for his magazine that became the pantheon of modern science fiction, Robert
John W. Campbell Jr. What he wanted were people who would write stories in which the science was realistic.
랩터의 작은 행동 하나가 공룡의 본성을 규정하듯 SF 영화는 과학적 사실과 인간의 상상력을 정교하게 결합합니다.
Campbell said that he got the idea for this story, Who Goes There, from a very personal incident that happened to him as a child. One day he came home. It wasn't until his mother actually walked in that he realized he had been talking to her twin sister. This sort of uncanny moment when he thought he saw someone he knew and it turned out to be a different person, stayed with.
Kill me. The Thing is definitely about the monster within and how those monsters within us that would allow us to go down that road, and it can be monstrous.
I would say that in Pacific Rim, Foursquare sites and that.
In Pacific Rim, what I love is of the myriad of solutions that we can come up with to kill 25-story monsters, the one solution that probably would come out last is let's create.
The majority of monster movies, you killed the monster at the end. So it's you
이것은
stand
단순한
that fear
시대의
up
흐름이
and then
아니라
you kill it.
인간성의
And you kill it
증명입니다.
by ingenuity, by willpower, by courage.
I was a kid. And the fact that some oozing mass of sticky goo is going to kill me is a really good idea. It's a very B-movie, horrible, stupid.
The killer shrews, I remember being quite frightened by it. At the end, people are claustrophobically in this sort of shed. I thought that was
1950s. You can see very clearly the way they sprung out of World War II.
Of the United States, a monster of such size and power.
People had discovered that radiation can change genetic structures and create, well, odd kinds of monsters.
Godzilla embodies the anxiety and the terror of
the nuclear
attack.
age,
Absolutely.
right? Sure. It's not a surprise that it emerged as a science fiction neomyth from Japan, which had actually been bombed by nuclear weapons.
And in that, incredibly apt at embodying the abstract in flesh.
Godzilla was made less than a decade after the atomic bombings, and there were a lot of issues that were taboo. Japanese people could not speak amongst themselves or in
이
the
의심은
media
폐쇄된
about
남극기지
Hiroshima and
안에서
Nagasaki,
걷잡을 수 없이
about the defeat,
퍼져나갑니다.
and about the
What if we make a movie about a giant monster who Americans invent this bomb that wakes up the monster and one of our cities gets destroyed and leaves radiation everywhere? And they're like, oh yeah, that's...
which means gorilla, and Kujira, which means whale. So it literally means gorilla whale. The legend is this was a nickname of an overweight Toho Studios employee. The producer heard that nickname and loved it.
You know, they obviously think, what can we do next? And, well, let's have Godzilla fight another creature. It became a bit silly.
And so Godzilla was transformed from being this vengeful force to being more of a protective
concept. Because Godzilla is such a beloved character from Japan, the creators of
of Godzilla had a Bible. It was this thick. And in it was all the do's and don'ts, what it can do, what it can't do.
Godzilla. And I said, if I cannot make that Godzilla, I'm not making the movie at all.
내용이 좋았다면 좋아요와 구독으로 다음 이야기도 함께 해주세요.